Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Maroon's call for sacking of police officer involved in a Kongpong shooting Thursday night. Health Minister preparing for peak of COVID-19 fourth wave. Later in sports, reggae boy Mikel Antonio signs new deal at English Premier League club. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. Up first, yet another record in the daily COVID-19 positive cases. 1,269 cases were recorded Thursday from 3,864 samples. 190 of the cases are imported. The country's overall case count is 99,463. The positivity rate is 45.9%. Hospitalizations continue to be over the 200 mark, with 219 people hospitalized over the last 24 hours. 22 are severely ill, while 4 are critical. There are 5,765 active cases on the island. 77 people have recovered from the respiratory illness. Total recoveries 66,313. Meanwhile, 3 more people have died from the respiratory illness. 1 was previously under investigation. And we should add that to date, a total of 2,489 people have died from COVID-19. The Ministry of Health is in full preparation mode for the peak of the current COVID-19 wave. At Thursday's COVID-19 press briefing, that should be the COVID-19 conversations, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton outlined the measures being put in place to deal with the spike. Sandy Williams reports.
According to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa Mackenzie, Jamaica could reach the peak of the current COVID-19 wave in the next 3 weeks. She said the country's reproductive rate has increased to 2.4, and that in the 14-day period up to Thursday, 4,863 new cases were reported.
And based on the projections using the reproductive number, it could mean that we may take another 3 weeks or so to get to the peak of our this fourth wave. And in that peak week, we could have as much as 11,500 cases being confirmed based on the present numbers where we are and the reproductive rate. Rapid exposure is happening to a lot of persons and the numbers are going up quickly.
Hospitalizations are projected to increase significantly, as well as the number of COVID-related deaths. This has prompted the Health Ministry to go in full preparation mode to ease the pressure on hospitals and healthcare workers. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said the ministry has already started to put measures in place.
We have been given assurances by our main supplier of medical oxygen that we can support a surge capacity of up to 1,200 patients in COVID-19 beds. We're looking at diversifying our supply of oxygen, as we have said, including through public-private partnerships. And last month, the Honorable Prime Minister, we thank him for that, gave through his Positive Jamaica Foundation donation of 19 oxygen concentrators to the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
As for additional staff at hospitals,
temporary staff employed to support the operations of our health facilities and the rollout of the national vaccination program has had their contracts extended to March this year. So our staff that were temporary are intact. Is it 1,500 approximately? Approximately 1,500 temporary staff.
However, Dr. Tufton said the ministry has been informed of absenteeism among doctors and nurses from the regional health authorities, as they have been placed in quarantine and isolation. Therefore, he is echoing the call for citizens, especially the elderly, to get vaccinated and take their booster shots. Sandy Williams, TVJ.
And Education Minister Favour Williams is reporting that since the resumption of classes, the majority of schools have reported no cases of COVID-19. Now, she was also speaking at the COVID Conversations press briefing last evening.
We did get reports from a few schools who told us that in some instances there were a student or two at their particular school who didn't show up but reported flu-like symptoms. In one school, they reported that their principal was COVID positive, and so that principal remained at home. There was a teacher who reported that he or she was in quarantine and remained at home. For the most part, the issues that were reported to us, those persons remained at home.
Mrs. Williams is encouraging students and staff at the schools to stay at home if they are experiencing symptoms to avoid a spike in cases in the institutions. She said that all schools will undergo re-inspection activities required by the Ministry of Health.
So they send inspectors in to look to make sure that there's proper signage, there are wash stations available and they're visible, that the school has an isolation center. They look at it, ensure that bathroom facilities are there, and it's only available for the isolation center. They look in terms of the classrooms to see how many desks are laid out in the classrooms, and they'll examine as well non-COVID related issues. Identify termites, then that will go on the report, and we have to take action to fix those things that they observe as being out of line before they would give the satisfactory rating to the school.
92% of the nation's schools have received the green light from the Health Ministry to resume face-to-face classes. To other news, residents of Akongpong St. Elizabeth are fuming after a deadly incident at a dance in the Maroon town last night. The incident has left one man dead and 5 others injured. O'Shane Masters reports.
Scenes from what was to be a party in Akongpong St. Elizabeth as part of the 284th anniversary celebrations of the Maroons. But what was to be fun and frolic turned deadly within minutes. It's reported that an altercation developed between a member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, who is also a Maroon, and other individuals at the event. TVJ News understands the JCF member wanted to enter the event along with other Maroons when he was denied entry. The officer was reportedly attacked when he discharged his firearm, and 6 persons were shot, 1 fatally. Among the injured, 2 children ages 6 and 12. Members of a Maroon community in St. Elizabeth are now fuming.
That only paint a different picture from the colonel. They don't paint a total different bad picture from the colonel. Right? Which never happened as a year time, never in a history.
But the residents believe the incident could have been avoided. Our news team was told that there were several parties within the community which were shut down by the police. However, the main dance was allowed to go on. They say the police should not have allowed it to take place.
Rush one. I mean, I come and make the money, I stay to feel good, come and enjoy myself. But I enjoy myself this year because of people dead.
They are calling for the officer implicated in the fracas to be removed from the force.
He don't know to handle a gun. He don't know to be a police because police are so quick pan gun. If me trouble you grab me up and box me up. But you're not supposed to grab your gun and fire in a crowd and kill up people.
Lied.
Him is a nice person.
A good youth in our area. Right? We don't expect them to kind of something there.
Indicom is investigating. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when we return. Come back, we're continuing the news. 2 more persons have been murdered in the St. Catherine North Police Division. The homicides happened between last night and the early hours of Friday morning. In the first incident, 31-year-old Jason Brown was shot and killed by gunmen on Sligoville Main Road. He was shot 4 times, including 1 shot to his face. In the other incident, a man was stabbed and taken to hospital. His attacker was mobbed by residents and killed. There has been a flare-up of violence in the St. Catherine North Police Division since the start of the week. And a post-mortem will have to determine the cause of death of 59-year-old fisherman Steve Reed of a Clarendon address. Mr. Reed was driving his bike along the Mitchelltown Main Road heading from Rocky Point when he met his demise. It's not clear at this time what transpired, but his family has this theory.
And it seems like something just drive behind him and lick him off of the bike. And the vehicle never stopped, the vehicle gone. So we don't see any vehicle, but we see chippings from the vehicle.
Stanford Reed, the brother of the deceased, says no one tried to assist his brother to the hospital.
Well, me feel bad, me feel bad about it. I mean, I ask anybody who did this to come forward.
Deadline for traffic ticket payments led to a rush at the courthouse in Yala St. Thomas on Friday. This was the crowd outside as motorists tried to avoid getting a warrant for overdue ticket fines.
We cannot pay any ticket at the tax office. We have to come at the court. And them same when I talk about social distance, I look on the court and don't answer now. So what we catch corona now? This is foolishness.
I don't appreciate that kind of, crowd in front of the courthouse with operators that's supposed to pay their ticket and they have to go to court in order to pay. It should be where they do it on a date rather than everybody bunged up in front of the courthouse. It should cause we're still in a pandemic and this can cause the increase of the virus.
And it's now time for the Business Minute with Cody and Barrett.
In the world of business, local coffee distributors are to receive assistance from the Agriculture Ministry to achieve compliance with the new China export requirements. This will be done via the Agriculture Trade Enforcement Advisory Mechanism, A-Team. China recently changed its policy regarding the importation of Blue Mountain coffee and other items. The new policy, which took effect on January 1, requires all green coffee beans entering China to be declared to its customs authorities in advance in order to be allowed to clear customs. In business overseas, new data from the U.S. Labor Department shows unemployment fell by 3.9% in December, but job growth did not reach economists' forecast. The U.S. economy only added 199,000 jobs, half of what was predicted, and the fewest jobs added in any month of 2021. Still, 2021 had record-breaking growth. In total, America added 6.4 million jobs last year, the most since 1939. And coming up in the Business Review this Sunday, changes are coming for Central Jamaica as two new owners of an old hotel in Mandeville make some renovations to enhance the parish. And that's it for the Business Minute this week. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And with the top regional and international stories, here's Sandy Williams.
In regional news, Antigua and Barbuda has become the latest Caribbean country to confirm the presence of Omicron variant of COVID-19 as the island recorded increased cases of the virus. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment in a statement said that the Trinidad-based Caribbean Public Health Agency CARPHA had confirmed the variant. The statement gave no details regarding the first case, but said that the World Health Organization (WHO) has so far confirmed 5 variants of concern circulating globally, and that Antigua and Barbuda has been sending samples to CARPHA for genomic sequencing to detect variants since October 2020.
And to another major story on the international scene, the first black man to win a Best Actor Oscar, Bahamian-American Sidney Poitier, is dead. He was 94. Now, his death was confirmed by Bahamian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Fred Mitchell. Now, for more on the life of Mr. Poitier, we joined the CNN.
Sidney Poitier was so much more than a film legend. He is revered, not just because of what he did on screen, but also because of his tremendous impact off screen as a champion of civil rights.
We believe in the essential dignity of every human being.
The son of a Bahamian tomato farmer, Poitier lived a life of first. The first black man to win an Oscar for Best Actor, and one of the first black people to become a true Hollywood star among the greatest of all time.
We have lots and lots and lots of African American actors. Now, when we didn't have any, I appeared. Not because I brought so much, but because the time was right.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Simon Preston will have the Midday Sports.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Reggae Boys striker Mikel Antonio has signed a new 2.5-year contract with English Premier League side West Ham United. This deal ties him to the East London-based club until the summer of 2024. The 31-year-old also has the option to extend his deal a further year until 2025. Antonio scored 9 goals in 22 appearances in all competitions this season for West Ham, who currently sits 5th in the EPL. West Ham are also into the round of 16 of the UEFA Europa League. Antonio scored 2 goals in 3 appearances for the Reggae Boys in 2021. His strike against the United States in November is a nominee for the Argelina Sports Foundation People's Choice Award. To cricket we go now, as 4 Jamaicans have been included in West Indies' 23-player training camp in preparation for the 2022 Women's Cricket World Cup in March. Captain Stefani Taylor leads the quartet alongside Shadeen Nation, Chanel Henry and Rashada Williams. The training camp in Barbados is set to run from January 9 to 14. After the camp, the squad will be cut to 18 players for the Caribbean side's tour of South Africa and the World Cup in New Zealand. 15 players will make up the final World Cup squad, while 3 other players will be carried as reserve players. The rest of the squad in the training camp reads Alia Alain, Renice Boyce, Shemaine Campbell, Shamilia Connell, Deandra Dottin, Afi Fletcher, Sherry-Ann Fraser, Janelia Glasgow, Shanetta Grimmond, Zaida James, Kiana Joseph, Kaisia Knight, Kishana Knight, Mandy Mangru, Hayley Matthews, Anissa Mohammed, Karishma Ramharak, Kaisia Schultz and Shakira Selman. The Caribbean side will face South Africa in 4 one-day internationals in a tour which is set to run from January 28 to February 6 in Johannesburg. Down under we go now, as led by an unbeaten century from Johnny Bairstow, England fought back on day 3 of the 4th Ashes test against Australia to reach 258 for 7 in their first innings reply at stumps. They trailed by 158 runs. Bairstow was unbeaten on 103 at the close for England, who had resumed on 13 without loss. He shared in a 128-run 5th wicket stand with Ben Stokes after England had slipped to 36 for 4. Stokes made 66. Scott Boland has taken 2 for 25 for the Australians. Australia holds a 3-0 lead in the 5-match test series. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Giovanni, it's over to you.
Thanks so much, Simon. And that's it for the Midday News. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.